Hello, hello, welcome everybody.
Hello. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to, it's a beautiful Sunday here. I don't know what it's like by any of you, but it is great to have such a gorgeous day. I had a hard time coming inside, but decided that I needed to. So we are here doing a little introduction to karma clearing by design, and we have had some great experience with it ourselves, and we know that every time you go through this process, you go a little bit deeper. So for those of you, like I know Julie, you went through this once with us. For those of you who've done it before, don't, realize that there's more that can come in, even though we're going to go through the same placement. And we're going to be exploring karma through your unconscious moon placement. Okay. So if you don't know that and you don't have your human design chart, you want to make sure you get that um, now. If you don't have your chart, you can get it at my website, which is kathybashanko.com. And I'm going to put that in the comments. Um, and anyone who's here and wants to have their camera on, it just always makes it easier for us when we have faces and reactions to help keep us going. I know as a projector, having other people's energy that I feel I'm outer visions, it really helps me when you guys, if it's possible. I know other people are doing things and they can't, so I totally understand it, but just encouraging you to turn your camera on if it feels right. If it doesn't, no problem. You're definitely here to do you the way that it works best. So I'm just talking a little bit over Jess right now because she's sending out did you send that out already or are you still busy?
So, yeah, no, the email went out to everyone
Okay,
on the list an hour before. I think I just didn't have your email in there personally.
okay. I just panicked a little when I didn't see it. I was like, what
No,
if
no,
you got the email? Right?
no. So it went out. There was two different segments that went out. So,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. No problem. So we just want to make sure you have your human design chart somewhere available. And what we want to do, we're going to assume that if you're here, that you probably know a little bit of Jess and I. And if you don't, I just want to say hi. I am a 6'2" emotional projector. I am about 9 years into my human design experiment, and I love guiding people to radical self-trust so they can know how freaking awesome they are and shine your light. So that is my big thing. I love all things daisies and disco balls. And Jess, do you want to just say a quick 30-second intro for you?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Jess Tilly. Just so excited you're here with us today to move through this karmic attraction. It's powerful work. It's beautiful work. And we're so, so excited to move through this with you all. Um, yeah, first thing, just want to double check. Does everybody have their human design chart? Thumbs up, yes.
Okay.
If anybody needs help finding their chart, because we definitely need that to find that moon placement for today, put it in the chat or just raise your hand. Let us know and we'll help you get your chart.
Do you want to just introduce yourself real quick? 30-second intro?
Yeah. So you want to, what do you want more?
You didn't even, Jess is a
Yeah.
fun
I
six.
think so. Like, what does
You're
everybody
a
need?
generator. She's
Yeah.
been in her human design experiment.
So
Let me tell you about Jess. I know all about Jess.
all the things about Jess. Let's see. So I'm a 4/6 sacral generator. I am a incarnation cross of the four ways. And I came into human design about 5 years ago. I started out in the manifestation world with Amy Lee Westerfeld, working in like a little bit more of the quantum, found human design, absolutely loved it. So love pairing together like the human design knowledge with energy work together. I think the two together are just so incredibly potent, taking the knowledge, but also working with how this shows up for you in that experimentation.
Right. And so for the sake of time, um, I don't want I don't want to spend too much time on the intro part, but we do need to have a little foundational understanding of what karma is going into this and where we're looking at it and that sort of thing. So hopefully if some of you are repeating this class, that this will just take it a little bit deeper. But karma is something that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I mean, a lot of times we just use the term karma as Oh, well, that's karma for you because somebody got what's coming to them, right? But karma is something deeper than that. To me, I think of karma as something that we really bring in from past lives. Sure, there's a little bit of it that comes from something we did earlier in life. There's this whole reciprocal nature of the universe, right? Where energy cannot be created or destroyed. So something negative needs a positive to balance and vice versa. There's always these pendulum swings in life and in past lives. So karma is can come from what we inherit through sorry, that just lost me my notes. Hang on one second. Karma can come from what we inherit from our ancestors. It can come from our past lives. If you don't believe in that sort of thing, you can take whatever you want from this and leave the rest behind. It's all yours. So just allow the energy, the spirit of things to come through. And I ask you to try not to get stuck in your head on any of it. So if there are certain things that maybe don't sit with your worldview, try not to get hung up on those because, you know, we're all evolving and changing and our worldviews shape are different as time goes on. So, okay, so the first thing that we want to say is karma is not punishment. Oops, I'm like getting ahead of myself. This was part of the, sorry, I'm not following the presentation. This is inspired and rooted in the teachings of Chetan Parkin. I also want to say that it comes from um, he acknowledged Chetan is one of the OGs of human design, right? He was one of the first people that Chetan, or I mean that Ra trained, right, as a human design instructor. He was way back in the beginning of this, and so he also has acknowledged that a lot of this is rooted in his conversations with Richard Rudd, who created the gene key. So you're going to find elements in of that in here. And then, of course, Richard Rudd is one of also a student of Ra's and has his gene keys foundations were rooted in traditional human design. So we all take what we learn from others and we make it our own, right? That's part of the way life works. And Jess and I both have that channel 1/8, that channel of inspiration, where we are the contribution. So we are not going to just spoon feed you what Chetan did, just like he's not spoon feeding people what Ra or Richard Rudd did. So there is a kind of evolutionary thing that's happening here. So we all kind of shape it and do it in the way that speaks to us. So, do you want to
Yeah,
respond
we
to any
just want to
questions?
honor the roots of, where this came from, where this inspiration came from. First in Santa Fe, where we actually, Kathy and I and a group of people went through the karmic clearing with Chaitan, and that was just such a beautiful experience. And then we got to dive deeper, get a little bit more intensive with this work when we went and we worked on relationships, and then the karmic clearing when we were in Austin with him. So again, that this is inspired by the work of Chaitan, and then we've kind of taken it and put our own coloration, right? Our own little bit of magic into this. And I think this part is really important for us because this is something, we've moved through and that we've personally experienced. And I know for myself personally, like the changes it's made in my life in places that I felt before, like, oh, this is just life. This is just something that I am dealing with in this lifetime. And to be able to shift that and sit in the discomfort of it. So as we go through this, when we start to look at the shadow frequencies and see how that shows up, and starting to sit with that and loving that piece of yourself, that's where we start to really make those changes and those shifts.
Yeah, awesome. And keep in mind this, we don't want you to think of this as a class, okay? Even though we called it a master class, we're limited by the words that are out there. This is really meant to be an experience, a contemplation, a transmission, right? So get into the frequency of receiving and just really be open to whatever comes through in this moment. And if you've gone through this before, just maybe ask, how can I be even more open to receiving and to the transmission that is meant to come through in this moment? So, um, so if everyone's ready, then I think we'll talk about how karma lives in the chart. So, in human design, we talk about the inherited patterns mostly showing up on the design side of the chart. So we're going to be dealing with the unconscious moon today. And if you look, this is my chart generator. So the colors are a little different, but it's all the same kind of concept. This is my chart you're actually looking at.
Mhm.
So you'll see the kind of orangey red is the unconscious side. That's the design side. I mean, different charts call it different things. It's sometimes called the body. Sometimes it's called mostly it's called the design. Sometimes it's called unconscious. I think in quantum human design, it's called your, I don't know, your soul's purpose or something, your life's purpose, life's work, maybe. There's all kinds of different names for it. And, but the important part is it's the left side and it's 88 degrees before your birth. So, but we're going to back up a little bit and we're going to talk a little bit about just for a minute here on how the design crystal actually works. So, the story goes that about 8 hours before conception, your father's soul's energy calls up the design crystal, which is a crystalline code from the earth, and it's your body's blueprint. And it also, at the same time, calls in the magnetic monopole, which is also in the earth, and that's your internal compass. These two arrive at conception, and together they begin the incarnation process. They start to actually build the body, right? Guiding how your form takes shape. The magnetic monopole begins guiding your life path, drawing in the people, places, and experiences meant for your journey. And it ultimately comes to reside in the G center, your center of identity and direction. Okay. So science calls it the morphogenetic field, and in human design, we call it the design crystal. But either way, it's the intelligence that shapes who we are, right? So that's what happens. That happens at conception. Well, 8 hours before and in conception. And then 88 degrees before your actual birth, your karmic coding comes in. And this is when your design crystal is imprinted with the unconscious planetary energies that you see on the left side of your chart. These become your design gates and lines, and your inherited patterns and your karmic themes are in this. This side of the chart shows what's familiar, automatic, often reactive, and this is where karma lives in the design and in the body. And at that same time, 88 degrees before birth, your personality crystal comes and drops in. So the design crystal winds up in your ajna, and the personality crystal drops into your crown, your head center. So it's actually sitting above your head. And it is this is your soul code, your awareness, your witness, your highest self. It's how you observe, reflect, and rewrite the karmic story your design carries. This is why human design gives you two sides: the past you're working through and the path forward you're here to choose. So, why does any of this matter? Because you're not here to repeat your karma. You're here to become conscious of it and to evolve through it. The design shows your inherited story. The personality is your choice to change the ending. As you begin living your design, the reactive becomes reflective. That's when clearing karma happens, not through force, but through awareness and radical self-trust. You came here to do something new with the energy, and the chart shows you how. Your body is the train, the magnetic rail is your life path, and the soul is learning to ride with grace, not control the route. So sometimes that's referred to as passenger consciousness, the idea that we're not the driver. It doesn't, and I'm not a big believer in the way a lot of people teach no choice. We we get to respond no matter what your type is, you get to respond to life. But the more you respond from your mind or your conditioning, you're pulling in the wrong things. The magnetic monopole is drawing experiences to you. And if you're responding from your conditioning, even if it's karmic conditioning, you're drawing in experiences that are going to keep pushing you to heal that karma, to move forward. Some of those experiences that are going to be drawn in are painful because you're still not listening to your body. So the more we get in touch with this and listen to our body and respond from what our true inner authority says, is calling us to do, the more we're going to move towards that highest expression of our chart. So, okay, I'll take a breath. So, Jess, you're muted.
Thank you. I had to cough and I was like, oh, don't cough right when she's talking. Too funny. So yeah, a big part of this is just really the perspective shift. If you think about, karma and you're like, oh, these things in my life, so often we feel, there's that potential to feel a little bit like a victim, or there's a potential to feel a little bit like, oh, this is happening to me, or just the lens we look through might be just like, oh, this is so not great, right? The way I like to look at human design is if you imagine a shower, right? Or like a waterfall of energy that's constantly changing in the cosmos, right? At the time that you're born, you get that unique imprint that you walk through. If you imagine this like glitter, like shimmer, like every single color, we've got like pink, we've got blue, we've got purple, we've got orange, every variation, right? And so you pick up your own beautiful, unique sparkle, your own beautiful, unique shine. And that's what Kathy was speaking to. The design crystal comes in and it creates your unique type, your unique strategy, your unique activations. Everything that happens is unique to you. And then, as you go through life, you have the different experiences that you live through, but just really coming to this place that, like, exactly who I am is perfect. Exactly how I experience things is perfect. Right. And this karma is something that we bring with us. There's an energy with it. It's part of that sparkle. It's part of that thing that's come through with us that we now get to look at through just a little bit of a shift in that lens of how we look at that karma. And so we're really coming at this masterclass from a place of love. We're coming at it from a place of like understanding and looking at it more like a curiosity than a judgment to it. What's in your life? How's it showing up? Where did it come from? Right. And really understanding. And that's why it's so important to really understand that piece that Kathy explained of like, where this comes from, right? So if anybody, I'd just like to pause real quick. If anybody has any questions about that, does everybody feel like they kind of understand the background of it? Thumbs up, yes. Any questions? And again, if you have a question, like somebody else is going to have that question too, on the replay, even if someone doesn't have that here. So please feel free to stop us at any point if you have questions about any of those.
Except don't stop us in the meditations. I'm just kidding. Okay. So, did
Yes.
you want to
Yes. So
go
let's talk about, so what is the power? Why are we specifically looking today at the unconscious moon? Like, what is the power of this unconscious moon? And so this is located on the design side. So the design side is on the left side of the chart. This is the unconscious side. The right side is the personality. This is the conscious. This is like what you're more aware of. The way Ross spoke to this was like your personality is like you're standing on top of the hill and you can see everything and you're familiar with it. Whereas the unconscious side is almost like a tunnel. And you're like, what's going to come through this tunnel? What's in there? And as you start to notice the patterns and see the things, you start to become a little bit more familiar, but there's almost like this mystical side to this unconscious.
something's wrong with the presentation. It was fine before, but now half of it's black. So I don't know if
mm,
you moved something on your screen.
is it
There we
good
go.
now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So coming back to over here, we're on the design side of the chart. And if anybody needs help identifying which is their design side, let us know. So it's on the left side right here. It's design unconscious, right? So this is not something that you necessarily like think about, right? This is about something that you deeply feel. And it's like a place that you act unconsciously from. In human design, this is called the motivator, right? This is the energetic pull behind your actions. Oh, in Gene Keys, so as Kathy mentioned before, this is bringing in the knowledge from human design, from Chaitan, and this also pulls from the Gene Keys, which is Richard Rudd. In Gene Keys, this corresponds to the attraction sphere, is your unconscious moon. And again, this is not about conscious attraction, it's about what your aura pulls. And Richard Rudd speaks to this as the purpose of your evolution, right? Which feels kind of, for me, that feels exciting, right?
Yeah, it draws things in for the purpose of your evolution.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
Not that
in
it is your.
astrology, we don't, in astrology, there isn't necessarily the unconscious side. It's more looking at that, but it's related to the emotional body, right? That intuition, the maternal, the familial inheritance. And so, yeah, this is just like a very key piece in the whole sequencing. So for the karma, going through the karma, there's a whole sequence of pieces you move through. So today we're just doing a step in the sequence, but don't remotely think like, oh, it's just one step. This is a really powerful step. Like this step in and of itself is enough to like shift things for you and start seeing those changes. There is a beauty in the whole sequence, but trust yourself to know if you're ready for the whole sequence or if this was like a beautiful like door opener for you for today, for that unconscious moon.
Right. Okay. And so this is really, one of the things is this unconscious moon is really something that can lead to our regrets at the end of life. What if I'd lived a life that was true to that was really true to myself? Are you attracting those things? Are you responding to those things? Because our aura not only draws things that way, it can also repel things,
Mhm.
right? So if we're um, living true to ourselves, then we're going to keep drawing in those correct. And correct is probably not, words matter. So I don't want to say like there's a right or a wrong way because then we get into our head. But if we're really living from a place deep in our body and responding to those things, like I started to say, not just generators respond. We all respond to life. It's just not our strategy. And I will also say strategy is kind of a heady word in and of itself, right? So we wonder why so many people in human design get stuck in their head and in labels. Well, strategy is telling us to have a think about how we're doing things. Just feel it. So just feel into your body as we do these things. So
And
the
then I popped the workbook in there just in case anybody didn't get the workbook from the past email. If you want to
awesome.
download that.
Awesome. And then what we're going to talk about now is your specific placement for the moon, for your unconscious moon. So you're going to want to look at the gate and the line. So as you can see in this example, the gate says it says 1.4. So the gate is gate 1 and the line is 4. So for the sake of ease, we're going to first talk about the lines because they give a flavor to it. So there's only 6 of those, so we can talk about those a little bit more detailed. What we're going to talk about now is the shadow expression. And we're specifically staying in the shadow of both the gate and the line first, because it's important to understand that energy of the shadow for us to really transmute it and move into the higher expressions. So realize that we're going to be in that energy for a little bit right now. Okay, so just take a breath. Does everybody have water? You want to probably make sure you have some water just to stay hydrated and in the right energy as we move through this process. And just can you drop the shadow of the lines in there so if people can't,
It's in the chat. So if anybody, it's sometimes the writing's a little bit smaller. So we have the PDF in the chat. If you want to click on that, and you can open that on your own computer to follow along with us.
okay. So, and just for the sake of ease, I'm going to read from the slide itself. So if you have a line 1, and I'm not going to read all the bullet points, but if you have a line 1, this is a theme of survival, fear, physical vulnerability, right? So these are where these shadow energies are going to come up. And you can see some of the bullet points here are this deep insecurity stored. I'll just read them. Deep insecurity stored in the body, fears of confrontation, separation or not surviving, feeling unsafe, ungrounded, like the rug could be pulled out at any moment. This is a tendency to repress fear or withdraw completely. Um, Avoidance of expressing feelings, secretive, withdrawn, hiding from life. Physical physical contraction or sense of being trapped. Disconnection from source or inner stability, and a lingering sense of dread. So if you have a line 1 in your shadow, in your unconscious moon, you're going to probably relate to some of those feelings. You might feel like you draw some of those experiences in. So line 2 is a theme of denial, reactivity, avoidance, or responsibility.
Yeah.
So this pulling in, this hermiting energy, this is what it's like in the shadow.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not
Just
really,
want to add to this, really taking in it's the feeling of these words, it's the frequency of them. So like if one of the words doesn't resonate directly with you, this is permission to find like what does it feel like for you? What is that word for you? And you get to create how that shows up for you uniquely, right? So this is everything in this is it's always a spectrum, right? It's like where do I fit within this? But this is like that starting point to like start jumping from and find what it looks like for you.
And that's a good point because I know that in sitting in this negative energy is very uncomfortable, right? Jess, you had a really hard time with it. And I still see that in you. You have this reactivity to make everybody feel okay, right? Because we're not saying that you are all of these things, but you're drawing these experiences in through this line energy in some way, shape, or form if you're in the shadow, okay? Um, and so knowing that there is something in this energy that is meant to become a gift can allow you to sit with this and see, wow, where's this coming from? And this is what we're calling in is this knowing of, okay, where in remember we said the moon is this maternal energy. So in my family lineage, probably on the maternal side, probably through my maternal grandmother's story and beyond, that I might not even know. I might know nothing about it. I might be adopted. I might be, and it could be your I don't know. It could even be through adopted lineages. Who knows? Somewhere in there, there's this energy. There's something that you're here on this planet in this particular time, being born at this moment with this placement, because this is something for you to transmute and transform the world through that transmutation. So, when you sit in these energies, this isn't about any kind of shame. This isn't about something that's wrong with you. This is about understanding the shadow of the story that you came here with. Okay. So this is in your, and I don't think I said this time, but if you think about the way evolution is taught, the birds that learn to eat a different species of food, a different type of food someday, is because there was a shortage, right? So they learn some new behavior that allows them to survive. And then what happens is, generations later, there is no shortage of that original food source that might be better for them, easier, more enjoyable, but they still have this habit of going and looking for this food that's not as nutritious, not as easy to get, not as pleasant to eat, but they still do it because it's an inherited behavior pattern, right? So sitting with this and being able to feel the shadow so that you can feel where this is meant to change through you. So line 2 is tendency to deny or be unaware of deeper issues, anger used as a mask to stay disconnected or avoid vulnerability. I don't think I should read all these because you
Yeah, if you
probably,
want to just do like the
I'll
themes
just
and
do
then
the headings.
everyone can look up
Yeah,
and connect in with theirs, that's perfect.
sure, great. Um, So line 3, right? We know line 3 is all about experiences. So this is a theme of shame, avoidance, and internal conflict, usually related to experiences on all those third line types of things.
Mhm.
So deep feelings of unworthiness, power struggles, self-sabotage, diverting discomfort by joking, changing the subject, difficult committing or choosing,
Mhm.
caught in inner dilemmas, right? So if you can go to the next one, Jess, next page. There we go. Line 4 is, oops, I gotta move you guys. The theme of rejection, emotional protection, and fear of vulnerability. So we all know that line 4, if you know your human design, and remember, these are for your unconscious moon. This isn't talking about your profiles, although you could later look at some of these themes in your profile. But right now we're thinking about and feeling into our moon placement, unconscious moon placement. So craving belonging, but fearing the risks that come from true connection. That's the one that's really speaks to me, right? I have line 4 is my unconscious moon. Um, so really feeling into which of these things do you just feel? Okay. Line 5 is the theme of protection or projection, distortion, and fear-based illusion, creating a false image of self to gain acceptance, right? The 5th line, we know that about the profiles, but think about how you're attracting these projections possibly, or people that you will project on in situations. So getting caught in mental webs. There's all the different things there. And then the sixth line, we always think of the sixth line as the role model. It's the this high thing, but there's a shadow side to the sixth line. The sixth line can be disconnection, withdrawal, and mental escape. So feeling separate and isolated. Think of some of the negative things you associate with that being on the roof, right? Um, so just kind of escaping on the roof, not being involved. So um, feeling into this idea of the exclusion there, the boredom or the superiority that could mask your deeper discomfort at being seen.
And maybe, not necessarily the word like negative, it's just where you are in this frequency, right? It's like everything's that spectrum. Like, where am
Yeah.
I in this? And just having that awareness and going, oh, interesting. Look, I'm in a bit of the shadow area of this. Um, and actually, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was the most beautiful explanation of, if you're walking in the sun sometimes and you're in the light and you're in the bright, and then sometimes you go into like the shadow under the tree and it's like that shade, that there's something in there too, right? There's a beauty to understanding and connecting in with what you're feeling. What is making me feel disconnected? What is making me feel withdrawn? Like, what is happening, and bringing this awareness, not that any of this is bad. It's all about awareness. Like, where am I in this and what's going on, and coming back within yourself to find out.
If you think of it, if you've ever learned any kind of, if you're ever in any kind of scouting or anything like that, learned about for camping, how do you know where you are? You look where your shadow is, right?
Yeah.
So when you see the shadow, you know where the sun is, and that can tell you what direction you need to go. And
Yeah.
that's a really good way to look for the shadow, not to be beating yourself up or have any shame in it, but to really just see that, ooh, this is telling me where the sun is.
Or to have shame. I had to have shame. Mine's line 3, and I was like, shame, no. And if that's your reaction, completely normal. Kathy had to watch me wiggle and squiggle and be like, oh, this is so uncomfortable for me right now to sit in this. Like, oh my goodness, shame. How is this showing up? What am I doing? And I wanted to run. That was my reaction. And it was like such a beautiful moment to like sit with this part of myself and love it, and love and understand it's all part of the process. It's all part of life, and it has a beautiful part to be there. So again, if you're feeling any kind of anything, I was right there with you.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the next part, which is looking at your gate.
Mhm.
So if you look at the gate, everything has a low frequency, which we're referring to as the shadow. Okay. But within each shadow, there are two expressions of all but one of the gates. And that is repressive and reactive, sometimes also known as the introverted and the extroverted expression. And that's something that comes from the gene keys. And so if you look at what your gate is, if anybody needs help and has not figured out what their gate is, please put it in the comments or raise your hand.
Or if you
And
just want to pop your gate in the comments and we can read it off and like, take a peek at what those are, we're happy to do that as well. I also put the PDF in the chat. So again, we understand like it's 64 gates right here. It's kind of hard to see on this slideshow. So feel
right,
free to go into the chat and just click on the PDF real quick and open that up on your computer if that's a little bit easier to look at.
right. So if you look at this, like giving the example of my gate 1, the shadow of gate 1 is entropy. Okay. So that's this like kind of folding in on itself. And the repressive nature is depressive. And the reactive nature is frenetic. And I, gate 1 is the most yang energy in the chart, right? So the more, and right now you don't need to know a whole lot about the gate, but the more you know about the gate, and the more you look at that later, that can bring in new layers of this if you want to contemplate it again later with a deeper understanding of the gate. But for me, I can really see it whenever I get in this place of, even at the beginning of this, of this session today, when I started to be like, oh no, what if people don't have what they need to get here? And I get this frenetic sort of energy, right? And Or sometimes in other situations, I might just feel like kind of really shut down in a depressive sort of way. Um, and I can see that, and that will not draw the people in to me that I am meant to experience. It keeps them at bay. It's a fear reaction, right? For me, in some ways, like, oh no, what if I do this wrong? What if I'm not giving people the direction? But so rather than sit with this and think about it and think of all those experiences, for me, when we were at this karma clearing in um, Austin, and I sat with his energy and I thought about the connection to my family story, right? And I just asked to know, you know, the feelings that were creating this sort of energy. And I started to tear up. I felt this energy from my grandmother, whom my grandmother was a very stoic, um, strong woman, but she was not a lovey-dovey kind of person, right? And then I related even more to it when we got into the Venus, which is where your real strong connections to the maternal side are. But in this situation, I felt all this understanding of the story that she had, not the details of it, but the feeling of the depressive, like how she really was kind of folding in on herself because of all the experiences she was going through, having lost two of her children before I was even born. So my mom was the only remaining child. Her husband died long before I was born, well, about 4 years before I was born. And honestly, the things I've heard, it was not a great situation when he was alive. So we won't get into the details, but I knew there was all this stuff that I didn't know, and I didn't need to know the details. But in that moment, I was able to sit and just ask to understand what sort of behaviors were needed. Like, and I just understood that these were protective behaviors of hers, to keep her from doing things that in her lifetime, think about, as a woman in that time, I mean, before I was born, women couldn't even get a bank account without a man. She could not have acted out and taken the direction in life, this yang kind of energy. That was not something that it was safe for her to experience. So she had to hold it in. She had to shut down. She had to keep herself and her one remaining child safe. And, so I was able to feel that energy in this way that I'm only now giving words to. But that's what I'm saying is this isn't about making it a mental process, but just calling in that story. And I know as we go through these, some of these words might not resonate with you. So if anybody feels like they don't understand what any of these words are,
Mhm.
we've had a lot of time to sit with these words. So please, to go forward into the next step, you have to have a general understanding of what the words of your shadow, your repressive and reactive natures are. So please, if you're not
So,
comfortable,
just normalizing the fact that if you have a reaction, I had a reaction to it. That's completely normal. If you're like, oh no. So, for example, mine is 47, gate 47, oppression, right? And that is, so the repressive is kind of like the internal, like I like to think of it as like the frozen state. It's where you kind of go more into that, like going within. And then the reactive is like, oh, I'm taking this and I'm pushing it outwards. And I'm a very like push outwards person. And so for 47 for me was hopeless. And I remember going, I'm not hopeless. I don't know. No. It had such a big reaction and it was so uncomfortable to sit with this word of hopelessness, right? So if you're feeling that right now, if anybody wants to share how they're feeling with it or just any confusion with the word, because at first I rejected it. I was like, no, no hopelessness. That is not allowed in my life, right? Um, I tend to skew more on the dogmatic side. When I feel like something is hard or there's like some kind of oppression, I become very dogmatic with that. I become very like, okay, I'm going to be, really pushing. And I'm like, I'm going to make this thing happen. I'm going to be dogmatic. I'm going to set how it's going to happen so that I can move from this. And so that is still in the shadow side, but that is the very, like, the more reactive where it's coming outwards. And that's more the extroverted version versus, sitting with the times and places in my life where I became hopeless and loving that part of myself and allowing that part of myself because I really beat myself up about that before. If I ever felt hopeless, that was something I very deeply rejected. And just seeing how perfect that was, especially with that like those karmic patterns, looking back at my own ancestral line and seeing, the different stories and sitting and loving deeply loving that part of me, loving that experience of those people in my life, right? And coming to a place of sitting with it, which was very, again, uncomfortable for me and very hard to sit in it because I wanted to move. So if you're feeling that, again, completely normalizing that. I think because I had such a big reaction, I was like, oof, there's something here. There's something in here for me. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful moment. Not easy. So does anybody have any questions about their gates? Does everybody feel pretty good? Well, maybe not feeling good,
We're
but
ready to go move forward.
move forward. Yes.
Okay.
Um, Okay, so now we're going to dive into these patterns and we're going to start to sit with them. And so I'm going to invite everybody real quick just to kind of like, whatever feels good right now, like asking your body, like, what feels good? Do I need a bit of a wiggle? I want to take some breaths, centering, because what we've been going over right now has been a lot of just like knowledge, a lot of like mind, like, oh, this is the gate, this is the line. We're coming into the feeling of it now. How does this feel for me? What is this frequency within me? What is this bringing up? And that's us really shifting from the mind into the body. So I'd like to invite everybody to, if it feels good, put a hand on your belly, a hand on your heart, and just we're going to take a deep breath, kind of center back within. If you feel like a good wiggle, have a wiggle, whatever it is your body needs right now, a sip of water. And we're going to take a deep breath in. And then we're going to let it out. Another deep breath in and deep breath out. And so this is the part right now where we're going to go into journaling. So however this feels best for you, for some people, they like to do voice notes. And so if you'd like to open whatever app you use for that for your voice note, or if you'd like to get your paper, if you printed out the workbook, these questions are in the workbook, whatever feels best, allowing yourself to do this in the way that feels correct for you. So I'm going to read through all the questions and then I'm going to put on some music and we're going to have about probably like 5 to 7 minutes or so of journaling to like connect in with these different questions and allowing yourself, we can always come back to these. But for the sake of time, we're not going to have, like a 45-minute for each of these. But we're going to start to really connect in with like what's showing up for us. So whatever it looks like for you with your paper, get that stuff ready. And so meeting the pattern. So,
Including if you are not somebody who actually likes to journal,
yeah.
you're welcome to just sit and contemplate these, call in those energies, whatever works for you. We're saying right, but some people don't like to do that. That's fine.
However it feels best. And if you want to share and be like, I'm doing it this way, so other people can be like, oh, cool, I would like to try that too. Like, absolutely share how you're doing it and know that it's absolutely perfect for you. So the first one is, what do these shadow words stir in you? What comes up when you read these words? What comes up in the feeling of these words and the frequency of the words? For me, again, with hopelessness, for me, it was just like, absolutely not, right? And then starting to sit with that. Where was that within me? How does that feel within me? How is that showing up? Then the next question is, what family and generational cultural stories or memories surface in your body? So this is where we start to lean into and trust and go, what is there? What is the story with this? What is the energy behind this? Where did this potentially come from? And allowing whatever wants to come through, if it feels like nothing that's perfect too, just opening that space to see what would like to come through for you. Then what relationship dynamics mirror this pattern? And so noticing where in your relationships with your loved ones, with your family, with your coworkers, where do you see this dynamic, this introverted, this like extroverted, reactive, or just the whole shadow? How are you seeing this pattern showing up? And then where does this show up in your actions and your reactions? And this is a big part. So often we're like, oh, I just reacted instead of taking that minute to respond, noticing, oh, I see this when I have that split moment, like reaction to something. And where is this like where you're pulling people and experiences into your life? Where are you starting to notice this shadow frequency? And this is a really beautiful one right here, is what might this pattern have been trying to teach or protect? So where did this pattern come from? What could it be potentially there as a beautiful experience in that original form where it was trying to teach something, it was trying to protect? And then the last question is what becomes possible when I hold this pattern with love instead of shame? And this is a key piece to all of this, seeing that karma, seeing these shadows, seeing these parts of us and loving them. Like Kathy was sharing earlier, she's like, I became a little frenetic when I was like, oh, are these things happening? But just loving herself and going, okay, this is a perfect part of me. Right now, I was in that frequency. It's not going to stop me though. And I'm going to love this part of me and I'm going to understand this part of me and have the perfect example today to talk about because this came up for me. And coming back to this piece, we're all human, right? None of us are going to get it perfect. None of us are going to do it like the exact right way, right? And loving ourselves and loving others exactly as they are and where they are. I'm going to put some music on. I'm going to have some time to journal and let us know in the comments if you have any questions.
Whatever you opened is in front of the screen, just so you know. There we go. Perfect. And let's say we'll take about 5 minutes to journal and then we'll come back, okay? And then you guys can always revisit this later, but just really sit with these energies for these 5 minutes or so.
Start finishing up. Any last thoughts, any last feelings, anything you'd like to add? Hey, how's everybody feeling? How was the journaling? Feeling good? Any particular questions that had some big impacts, all of it? Feel free to pop your answers in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling right now. Yeah, for me, it was definitely that one of coming at it from what is this piece trying to teach or protect? Because I think before when I heard the word for me hopeless, it was just such a like a visceral reaction of like no no hopelessness no, and then it's like, oh, I see where in my ancestry this was actually trying to protect, for my grandmother. I'm not going to go into it fully right now, but just in our ancestry, where that was, where that hopelessness lived, and to sit with that piece with so much love and understanding and caring, it just shifted everything for me, which really helped me move into that next piece of instead of going, oh, I'm being hopeless or oh, I'm being dogmatic, but coming to this energy that's innate within us, that is a pattern within us, right? Currently, but coming to it from that place of understanding and that place of love. And this is where we really start to shift instead of fighting against this pattern, understanding it, sitting with it. So next, oh, yep.
Well, I just wanted to share something that
Yes.
might help others as well. I don't know. I have Gene Key 62 line 3. I put it next to my name there. That's my unconscious moon. And funnily enough, I found a connection not only to my grandmother, but also to my great grandmother, which I happen to know. I got to know when I was very little. And she died when I was about 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it even got one generation further back. And I have my Chiron return next year, and it's a line 3 also. And suddenly that key of my Chiron return, which is another one, but which is also that line 3 shame thing, it clicked.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm not able to explain how and why and what I'm gonna do next, but there is some connection between that Chiron return thing and that one, even though there are other keys, different keys.
Yes.
So thank you for that one.
Yes, absolutely. And celebrating you. And thank you for bringing attention to, a lot of times this opens the door and we start to just feel that energy. And a lot of times later in the day, or even in the nighttime when you're sleeping, or the next time you're out, a lot of people, when they go to, like, if they're doing yoga, something lands. That's when it comes through in its totality. So this is like a moving, living, breathing energy right now that you've opened into. And so really celebrating that. Oh, so beautiful. And to be able to have met them and spoken to both of them, right? So cool. Thank you for sharing. Love it. Kathy, did you want to add anything?
No, I want to thank you for sharing. I'd love for us to move into the meditation while we're all still in this deep place of receiving, so that we can really ground that before we get into our heads talking about too much.
Yeah,
So maybe just move into
absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So
it's beautiful.
yeah. So now we're going to really deeply ground in and we're going to connect energetically. Okay, so now we're going to go into a little bit of a meditation here and we're going to connect in. So again, welcoming people back into their body, back into their energy, back into the feeling. And so we're going to put, if it feels good, put your hand on your heart, your hand on your belly, and we're going to take another deep breath. We're going to bring your awareness to the center of your chest, to your heart, to this feeling, to this frequency, right? And I breathe in and out. As you breathe in, you're going to notice the temperature of the air as it goes in your nose. And then noticing the temperature of the air as it exits. Really deeply connecting in with our breath, breathing in and breathing out. And this next breath, we're going to notice the rising and falling of our chest, breathing in and breathing out. Trusting your body to know whatever it needs right now. If it needs a deep breath with a deep exhale, just to let go, take it. If it needs a wiggle, take your wiggle, connecting with your body. Feel the energy pulsing in your body right now. We're going to start to connect in with this pattern that we've just explored. But we're going to connect in with it without any judgment, right? Without feeling any need to fix it, to do anything with it. So starting to locate this, if you can feel it within your body, connecting in with it. If you don't, it's perfect. Just connecting inwards, right? We're going to speak gently to this part of ourselves, to this long lost part of ourselves. And you can say this out loud if it feels right, or say it silently. You're going to say, I see you. I honor you. thank you. I release any shame I've held around you. And now we're going to continue in the tradition of the Ho'oponopono, connecting in with this energy and deeply saying, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Letting whatever needs to move, move. If it's a yawn, if it's a cry, if it's whatever needs to move right in you, allow it, feel it, let this move through your body. Breathe, breathe in. Connecting in with this part of you, and know that you've just taken the first step towards clearing something within you that's ancient. With love, loving this piece of you. We're going to take a couple more deep breaths in the nose and out the mouth, releasing whatever needs to come out. In the nose, breathing in so much love and so much compassion into your body. Feeling it swirl within you and releasing anything that's ready to move. One last deep breath of love and compassion in. Releasing whatever's ready to move out. I'm going to start to wiggle and come back in, connecting back in with this room. And if you need a minute right now, take a minute. If there's anything you need to write down, you need a minute to stretch, a minute to move, whatever it is you need in this moment. Slowly coming back. How's everybody doing?
Oops, I turned off my camera instead of unmuting.
Yeah, I love the face, Dr. Julie. Big smile. And however you're feeling right now is perfect, right? Whatever needed to move in you is moving, and know exactly where you are is absolutely perfect. I feel like I want to stretch.
Yeah.
My body wants to stretch and move, and that feels good to help move the energy, whatever right now, just trusting whatever it is you need. That water, that movement. And we're going to start to shift now that we've honored and connected in with this shadow frequency. We're going to move into this higher frequency, which is so exciting. The key to shifting this, right? This is the part I love.
Right? Well, it's all beautiful. And Kirsten, I hope I didn't shut you down. I just wanted us to get into, because I really appreciate your share on that, about everything that was going on. And I really appreciate your sharing that with all of us. And I hope that as we anchored that in, that you felt them even deeper. Now we're going to move into the higher frequency. And we don't leave that shadow frequency, right? We remember the shadow, and this is how we find the higher expressions. And so we're going to go into the line themes again, but for the get to find what is usually known as the gifts in gene keys, but often referred to in this process as the key. The gift is the key to moving to the highest frequency. So when you're feeling that shadow energy that we have been in, knowing the key is the way, right? It unlocks the gift. So for the first line, that theme is embodiment, grounded courage, and inner stability, right? First line is that foundation. So feeling safe and present in the body and all of the things. Jess, did you drop the gift line frequencies in the?
So I don't actually have those ones. I didn't have them in the doc, so we'll have to send
Oh,
those out
okay.
there for the
Well,
gift.
I can drop them in if you want to just read for a second while I
Yeah,
find it. People
absolutely.
have it to look at.
So yeah, so we've got, these are the high frequency expressions. And again, coming back to this place where it's all a spectrum, right? There's no right, there's no wrong. This is just the higher frequency of it. So the line 1 is that embodiment, that grounded courage, and that inner stability. And again, this connects in with that first line, which is all about like investigating knowledge, finding like that stability in the knowledge. And you can kind of see the remnants of that with this higher frequency. The line 2. And just a quick reminder, so that first number, that's the gate. What we're looking at right now is the line. So if it's like mine is 47 point, like period 3, right now we're looking at the 3, that second part after the period is the line. Line 2, the theme is authenticity, reflection, and natural ease. And so this is that hermit energy, that natural energy with that, like just that inner knowing, right? Um, for line 3, the theme is resilience. So this is me. This is Kristen as well. The humor. I find so much beauty in humor and laughing, and that higher expression from that shame to be able to laugh at the things, right? And embodied growth. And then we've got for line 4. So the fourth line is the opportunist. This personally, I don't love the word opportunist. Maybe it's because that's what I am. I'm a 4/6. I like connector. It's the word I use for the fourth line. So the theme here is compassion, connection, and emotional authenticity. Remembering the fourth line is about those connections with other, right? For the fifth line, the theme is the empowered leadership, clarity, and compassionate influence. And that fifth line energy is that like that leadership energy, right? But it also gets to be leadership that's in an empowered way. With the fifth line, it has a lot of that projection that's put onto it. So really coming to this place of like that empowered leadership of what you're stepping forward in. And then the sixth line, the theme is embodied wisdom, spiritual integration, and graceful leadership. And that's coming from that place of being like disconnected, disincarnate, where the sixth line is kind of sometimes like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm not dealing with all of this stuff, right? I'm out. And so this is coming in and being that integration piece and having that embodied wisdom.
Perfect. Okay, so now we went through those. You've got the document finally. I found it. And it should be in your in the chat there for you if you want to save that for later. But now we're going to look at the key, which is also known as the gift in your particular gate. And if I think Jess can drop that in the comments for us so that you can look at that more clearly. So you're going to look at that and we're going to look at how these frequencies feel in your body. Don't just analyze them. Like really breathe these in. And what shifts if you imagine living from this frequency, right? These are frequencies. These aren't just words. And words are limiting. Words are our human way of making sense of the frequency. So really just sit and ask your inner self, your higher self, your guides, whoever it is that you call in, if you're someone who speaks in terms of God, source, whatever, ask to feel the frequency of this gift as a key to this higher frequency. And what shifts when you imagine attracting from this frequency, right? Drawing experiences to you from this frequency. Can you glimpse how this energy might transform if you hold it in compassion? And then we're going to anchor this in. So I want to give everybody a minute to make sure that they have read this and intellectually understand the words, right? Because we want to just feel into them. But if you have questions to where these words, especially if you're someone who maybe English isn't your first language, or even just, some of these are Richard Rudd words. And if you've ever listened to Richard Rudd, he's a mystic and a poet. So his words aren't always the same as our other words. So please do not be embarrassed if you need to ask, like, for a little clarification on some of the words.
Yeah, just an example too. So mine is 47, right? So this is the key to unlocking the door. This is the key to shifting this energy. This is how we go from that frequency of that lower frequency, and then we put the key in, we shift it to get to that highest expression, that highest frequency, to get to that place. So we've got like 47 for mine is transmutation. And so this speaks to transmuting something, is shifting it, is changing it. And particularly for my line 3, humor. Humor is a huge way that I do that. I laugh. I laugh a lot about different things, and using humor to help shift from that lower frequency into that higher frequency, and starting to see, like, where have I interacted with this key before? Where do I see and use this, particular key for yourself? So again, this right here is all for the keys. And then you look at your gate. So mine's 47, that transmutation, and then that highest expression, that highest frequency is transfiguration. And that's where you start to transfigure into that light, into that love, into that essence, that highest essence. And again, if anybody has questions, I mean, when we were doing the deep dive class, so many people were like, wait, I don't get this. So if you're feeling like, hey, wait, I don't get this, let's chat about it. Let's see how it shows up for you. Or if for whatever reason it doesn't feel comfortable to share it here, pop it in the chat. Or if that doesn't feel comfortable, send us a message. We'd be happy to respond to that as well, because this is just a really important part. But it's again, like Kathy was saying, this is the frequency of it, that potentially, it's not the word that you have to fit into it. It's what is the feeling of that word that, like, resonates with you.
Yeah. And these were people who had been doing a lot of human design work, and they still were like, what does this mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, and not that they didn't understand the word as the word, they didn't understand the nuance of it as a gift, right? Or the nuance of it as a high expression. Those are things that, but if everybody is feeling okay, don't want to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
laboring the
Absolutely.
point.
And I asked for mine. I was like, what the heck is transfiguration? I know what the word means, but how does that mean? Like, what does that mean in the highest expression?
Right.
What is that, right? So
And,
yeah, just
and just
normalizing asking.
looking at it from the lens of, mine that I've been talking about. So this entropy. So how is freshness the key? Well, I'm in this depressive or frenetic state. How can I look at things with a fresh perspective, something totally new? How can I just really call in this energy of, oh, how can I find a new, fresh direction on this, right? And that's what's going to take me to this highest frequency of beauty, going in the direction of beauty. And that just really spoke to my heart so much, this idea of gate one, this yang energy, right? You think of it as this yang, we think of as hard and masculine energy or something, right? But the highest expression is beauty. Right? And it's really beautiful to sit with that whole idea. So that being said, if everybody is ready, we're not going to ask you questions on this one so much. We're going to do this in more of an anchoring kind of meditation, that type of thing, where you're going to look at it. Just well, I guess there's a couple questions in there, but we're looking at it now and feel them. Don't just analyze them. Don't get in your head about these. Breathe them into your body. What shifts when you imagine living from this frequency? Can you glimpse how this energy might transform if you hold it in compassion, right? And so now, Jess, if we can try doing the music again. Oh, there we go. It's working. Okay, take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose. And a slow breath out through your mouth. Put both of your feet flat on the floor. Kind of wiggle your hips a little bit. Let your shoulders drop just a little more. Unclench your jaw if it feels tight. Let that belly soften. Let's sucking it in here. Let your body know it's safe to just be here for a minute. There's nothing we're fixing now. Nothing to figure out. So now gently bring in your keyword, bring it to mind, that gift frequency. Don't think about it, just hold it. You don't have to make it mean something. Just let it float into your awareness, however it wants to come. This is the part of you that already knows how to move with more ease, to show up in the world with your natural rhythm, your truth, your medicine. Let that word settle somewhere in your body, in your chest, your belly, maybe in your throat, wherever it wants to live now. And now bring in your evolution word, that deeper, higher, soul-led expression of this energy. You don't have to become it. You already are it. Let it sit beside your gift like an old friend, like a part of you that's been quietly waiting for your attention. Now, with both words gently held in your awareness, I want you to imagine this light expanding in your body, soft, quiet, but real. And in that space, take a moment to acknowledge all those who've come before you, the ones whose DNA lives in your bones, ones whose choices, pains, dreams, and love still echo through your story. The ones who never got to finish this pattern, but who now walk beside you as you shift it. Maybe even lifetimes of yourself, doing the best you could again and again. And now here you are, remembering. Let this be a quiet thank you, a silent honoring, a moment of recognition that you're not alone in this. Now, if it feels right, place a hand on your heart, wherever you're feeling this the most. And let yourself hear these words. I trust this energy lives in me. I don't have to force it. I just have to remember it. And I'm ready to live from this truth, even if I'm still learning how. To all those who've come before me, thank you for carrying it this far. I'll take it from here with love. Now we're going to come back slowly. Wiggle your fingers or your toes. Take a deep breath in. Gently open your eyes when you're ready. There's nothing you have to do next. Just let this live in you. You're not becoming someone new. You're simply letting your light lead. And then when everyone's ready, we're going to give you some suggestions for how to anchor this energy in. I'm going to give you a minute to take a sip of water. Breathe, stretch. And we're going to give you some time to talk about this, but while we're still in this kind of coming back phase, just some gentle ways that you can carry this energy forward after today. Take what resonates and trust your own creative flow, whatever comes to you. You know, write your keyword and your evolution word on a sticky note and put it wherever works for you. Maybe your bathroom mirror, on a journal cover, stick it on your computer monitor, inside your closet door, on the refrigerator. Choose an image or a symbol that embodies the essence of your gift or the highest frequency. And do the same with that. You can save it on your phone wallpaper, put it on a visual vision board, or if you have an altar, you can put it somewhere there as a visual. You can create a mantra using your gate's keyword, like I move through the world with freshness as my guide would be mine, right? You insert your gift word as your guide. Use the keyword as a decision filter. So when responding to situations, how would I move through this if I trusted this part of me, if I trusted the freshness, right? For me. Reflect weekly or daily or monthly or whenever you think of it. How did this energy show up for me? How did I respond? What did I learn? You can light a candle or hold a stone as a daily anchor. Choose a crystal that speaks to you in a way of honoring this. You can create a playlist that evokes the feeling of your gift or your highest frequency. So these frequencies live inside you. You don't have to force them. Just invite them forward. Let your body remember the truth of who you are.
So beautiful. I love it. I know we've done this a few times, and every time I'm just like, yes. Oh, it just feels good to remember, right? It's there. It's within you. There's nothing you have to do. It's there, right? And that just feels so, so good. And just really inviting you all again. It's such a beautiful energy. And so often we go to these master classes or we attend seminars or we do things and we feel the energy and we're like, yes, this shift, this thing, I feel it. And then we leave and the energy slowly dissipates, right? So this anchor is so, so important. So really inviting you right now, pick whatever feels best for you. Like what is a tiny next step that you can do? For me, it was a sticky note. For me, it was writing transmutation and I put it on my bedroom door. It was quick. It was easy. My life was hectic. I was like, yeah, I would like to journal and ooh, the disco ball.
Me,
All
it's a
the
disco
things,
ball.
yes, that I want to do, that I got to do eventually. But right now in this moment, again, really, really, really inviting you all to do what is that one tiny thing that I can do to start to anchor this. And for me, it was that sticky note. And every time I got up, I was like, oh, yeah, because we're in a pattern. We're living in a pattern right now. We've been living a certain way, and that's our natural highway, right? As we start to shift, when we first start, it's a little bit harder because we have to cognizantly go, okay, I'm shifting to this new way. I'm choosing this new place, this new way of being, this new energy is welcoming within me to shine out. But that shift needs that anchor. So, whatever feels best for you, absolutely encourage you all to just whatever that one little step is and then build on it, right?
Yeah.
Disco
And so the
ball.
disco ball speaks to me so much, right? Is we have all these little mirrors. They all reflect the light differently. They're all teeny, teeny little pieces, but we need all of them because you know what? When we don't have a piece, then we have to make sure we don't hold the disco ball to show anybody our piece. I've got a piece missing somewhere here that fell off when this somewhere. I don't know. Can't even find it now. Maybe it became whole miraculously. But these are all reflecting light, right? And we need all the pieces. So bringing in all the pieces. Some of them are on the side that's not reflecting the light right now, but you're not broken. You're remembering all the pieces of you. So, yeah, like it did, this is why I love the analogy of the disco ball. You know, hundreds of tiny reflections of who you've been all coming together to shine your unique light. Your the light and the mirror, the pattern and the clearing. And today something just shifted. And we forgot to say this at the beginning. We're not going to do any kind of a sales pitch here or anything. We have something really cool that we're going to do. And in the for the sake of transparency, we actually changed the way we're going to move forward with this. Some of you may have done this before and we sent something out and we realized that we did that too hastily. And we have a better way that we're going to present how we're going to move forward with this, that we feel is much more in alignment with how people are processing things just based on the feedback we got. So we will send you information about that in the next couple of days. So if you want to go deeper with this, there will be an opportunity to do so. But we're not going to go into all of that now. We really want to stay present in what we did today because this isn't easy work. It's powerful. And I'd like to thank all of you for doing it and realize that this isn't instantaneous work. Sometimes this comes through, like Jess said, later in the day or tonight while you sleep. One of the things that I really love to do is something called dream seeding, where you tap your pineal gland and you can say, what needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought into my awareness for me to, and then you can say whatever you want afterwards. And you might say, for me to call in this gift energy, or for me to whatever you want to bring forward. And then while you sleep, all the powers that be will work to bring those answers into you. And that's how in human design, we talk about how the head and the ajna work. It goes by us putting the questions out there, and then the inspiration comes through the world, not from our head. So just ask the questions to the universe when you go tonight, if you have more you want to do with this. That being said, I'd love if anybody wants to share anything or if you have any questions. Does anybody feel like they want to share? Thank you, Maja. Maja, would you like to share anything? Is that how you say your name? You were here before, and I don't know if I'm saying it right. Is it Maja? If you want to unmute. Thank you, Linnea. I appreciate the comments, but I would love if anybody wants to share anything. It's
Or
okay if it's too
later
personal.
too. Yeah, if you want to, whatever feels best, if you want to send us an email and this is just, we really love this work. Like we really, really love doing this and we know like the impact it's had for us. So we really, truly love hearing about how this is showing up for you. And that could look like if you have any like feedback or like we'd love to know what your experience was through
Yeah.
this masterclass. We'd love to hear about, what did this open for you? What came through this? And also being really mindful that potentially there was something moved here. And if you need support, please reach out. Like we're here, reach out to us. And if you like to make videos, send us a video. If you like to do voice notes, whatever way feels best for you. For me personally, to have to type out an email feels like horrendous. I have to speak it out, have it, type it, and then put it in an email. So that feels like a lot of steps. Whatever feels best for you, however you'd like to share, we really, really do value that to hear from you all. Like, what was your experience? Because again, this was something that was like so personal to us in our own journey and what this opened up for us.
But if everybody's all set, we'd like to thank you and have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yeah.
Like I like to say, peace out, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.